Clint Eastwood, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. These are just a few of the illustrious members of the storied Ice Cool Club of the pre-kill movie one-liner. There is an ineffable art to delivering a final soundbite to an adversary just before inflicting that delicious fatal blow, and the action genre has blasted us with some truly great ones over the years. So with that in mind, I'm Ewan, this is Whatculture, and here are the greatest pre-kill movie lines. You were a vegan, now you will be gone. Scott Pilgrim versus the world. Having discovered he is in the middle of a fight for his life, where he must battle the sinister former partners of his new girlfriend Ramona Flowers, Scott manages to get past the first two evil exes before running into a seemingly invincible new adversary, Todd, played brilliantly by Brandon Routh. Todd is Scott's ex-girlfriend Envy's new vegan bassist boyfriend, who incidentally happens to possess telekinetic powers as a result of his veganity. Todd absolutely trounces Scott in a bass guitar battle with the help of his otherworldly powers, but barely has time to gloat before Scott tricks him into drinking half and half. The vegan police then burst onto the scene and relieve Todd of his powers for what is revealed to be his latest infraction of the vegan code. His newly mortal form is left cowering before a triumphant Scott, who issues the unforgettable parting shot. You once were a vegan, but now you will be gone. Ah, cinema. Smile, you son of a Jaws. The climactic sequence of Jaws sees the chief of police Brody and marine biologist Hooper enlist the help of Quint, a famed shark hunter and World War II veteran, using the Lannis boat, the appropriately named Orca, to kill the terrifying man-eater once and for all. Regardless of their best efforts, things go disastrously wrong before too long. Hooper flees underwater after an attempt to inject the shark with a poison dart, and Quint is devoured in shocking fashion as old Brucey manages to land on board the sinking ship. So it all falls to Roy Scheider's Brody to finish the beastie off. Brody drags himself to the ship's crow's nest with a rifle in hand after he manages to jam a scuba tank into the murderous shark's cavernous maw. Brody keeps it simple with his parting words to the thrashing predator, the final expletive being drowned out by the shockwave of the pressurized cylinder exploding as his bullet collides. I lied. Commando. As mentioned before, there's probably no better one-liner delivery system than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnie's dulcet Austrian tones have always lended an extra badass quality to his kill quips, which range from the punny to the delightfully blunt. No other film best embodies the latter aspect of the Governator's one-liners than Commando, Mark L. Lester's sort of revenge flick that sees Arnie as John Matrix, a former Special Forces operator whose daughter gets kidnapped by a chainmail-wearing Australian sicko called Bennett, a former teammate now in the employ of an exiled Latin America dictator. Matrix takes down Bennett's boys with aplomb, rubbing salt in the wound with such eloquent lines as "I eat green berets for breakfast" and "Let off some steam, Bennett," the latter of which comes after he rams a giant steam pipe thing through Vernon Wells' medieval body armor. However, the coup de grace of Commando's adventure is when Matrix tracks down Sully. At the beginning of the film, Matrix says to Sully that he thought he was a funny guy, which was why he was going to kill him last. Lo and behold, when Matrix tracks Sully down, he proceeds to grab the diminutive fella by the leg and dangle him over a cliff. Remember, Sully, when I promised to kill you last? That's right, Major, you did. I lied. Happy trails, Hans. Die Hard. After seemingly surrendering to Hans Gruber in the first Die Hard, Bruce Willis's John McClane is revealed to have a gun taped to his back. Hans taunts him with the series' would-be catchphrase of "Yippee-ki-yay, you know the rest, thank you YouTube for being the fun police here." The scene positively cackles with tension. McClane explodes like a coiled spring, shooting Gruber and his final henchman with his two remaining bullets before blowing smoke off his gun barrel like Roy Rogers. McClane laconically draws the coldest of parting shots to the terrorist leader as he finally topples backwards through the window. Happy trails, Hans. The sharp blend of gritty realism and Willis's exemplary delivery make this utterance one of the more unforgettable lines before a kill to date. Hasta la vista, baby. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Earlier in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Edward Furlong's John Connor gives the Terminator a crash course in humanistic slang, as opposed to affirmative or something like that. that. In the most robotically hilarious of fashions, against the most emotionally fraught of backdrops, Schwarzenegger's Terminator recalls his lessons and coolly addresses the T-1000 before shattering the frozen cyborg with a well-placed bullet. Hasta la vista, baby. Now, in fairness, this technically isn't the final killing blow, as Robert Patrick's Terminator does briefly reanimate after thawing out, but man, this is still one of the most iconic pre-kill movie one-liners ever. Plus, Arnie gets to him later anyway, using a grenade launcher to blast the T-1000 into a vat of molten steel. I now pronounce you man and knife. Expendables 2. Okay, so the Expendables movies probably aren't as good as they should be. Even so, the closest the series has come to fully realizing its potential, The Expendables 2, features some absolutely killer one-liners, one of which simply refuses to leave my brain on account of how stupidly brilliant it is. The first Expendables sequel sees Sly Stallone's team of action legends battling against a private army headed up by JCVD. At one point, they're cornered in a small town with a church at the center. Making use of deception, Barney Ross's right hand, Lee Christmas, Jason Statham, dons the garb of a priest. The mercs barge in, demanding that the priest show them where the Expendables are. Statham is muttering Latin at this point before switching to English and christening the upcoming bloodbath by saying, I now pronounce you man and knife, with the best grin ever. Christmas then proceeds to shish kebab everyone in the room while the rest of his comrades reveal themselves. Long live the king. The Lion King. Said line appears in the scene that caused every child to dissolve into tears upon watching The Lion King for the first time. King Mufasa's murder by his dastardly throne-coveting brother, Scar, played brilliantly by Jeremy Irons. Scar engineers a trap for Mufasa and his cub Simba, stampeding a herd of wildebeest through a gorge. While Mufasa manages to save Simba, his heroic actions leave him hanging precariously over the rock face edge. As the majestic lion desperately scrambles at the precipice, begging for his brother to help him, Scar, grinning wickedly from ear to ear, locks eyes with the stricken Mufasa before sarcastically rubbing salt in the wounds with a final evil taunt. Long live the king. Goddamn, Jeremy, thank you for this upsettingly cold as hell line read. You gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Dirty Harry. This list would not be complete without an appearance from arguably the king of the menacing one-liner, the man, the myth, the legend that is Clint Eastwood. Dirty Harry Callahan first produces his signature utterance to intimidate a wounded bank robber into surrendering as he stares down the cavernous, inky black muzzle of Harry's signature .44 Magnum. The fatal version of the quote comes around at the film's ending as unhinged Zodiac stand-in Scorpio finds himself backed into a corner at a quarry, attempting to take a hostage before being wounded in the shoulder by Callahan. The villain finds himself at the inspector's mercy in the same manner as the robber at the beginning of the film. Eastwood tauntingly wonders out loud as to how many shots he has left before inviting the quivering baddie to try his luck as he growls out his signature turn of phrase. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Scorpio evidently does, reaching for his weapon only to be gunned down with Harry's final bullet. Die screaming. The long kiss goodnight. Look, Shane Black is the king of action dialogue, and underrated 1996 action thriller The Long Kiss Goodnight is about as good a testament to that statement as any. The film, which paired Geena Davis with a post-Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson, focuses on an amnesiac NSA assassin as her old murderous personality and life begin to catch up with her, with Die Hard 2 director Renny Harlin marshalling the film as director. There are loads and loads of great lines in Long Kiss, including a bit where main villain Timothy responds to a dying soldier over his radio with just "continue dying" over, which is like one of the funniest things any villain has ever done in any movie. However, the best comes when Davis's Charlie Baltimore delivers the killing blow atop the Niagara Falls Bridge. Rapidly ascending a string of Christmas lights and stealing a killed merc submachine gun on the way, Charlie unloads on Timothy, yelling her lungs out, with Timothy then taking a tumble onto a truck rigged to explode. As her former lover plummets, Charlie utters, "Die screaming, motherfucker." You can feel the venom and contempt in Davis's delivery, making this one of the best lines Black has ever inked. "And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee." Pulp Fiction. Jules's righteous religious ramblings in Pulp Fiction make their first appearance as he and Vince execute hapless thief Brett and his accomplices while they're chowing down on some delicious-looking kahuna burger. Jackson's voice gathers menacing intensity with each passing syllable before he reaches the conclusion of his ominous Bible verse. He is practically shouting when he reaches the final sentences. As Jackson's character elaborates later, if one hears that sentence with Pulp Fiction's continuity, it meant your ass, as it does for Brett and co when they're chowing down on their big kahuna burgers. However, the fabricated scripture takes on a new and deeper meaning in Pulp Fiction's climactic dinner robbery, as the previously merciless hitman finds himself poignantly pondering the symbolism behind his ice-cool parting shot, following a near-death experience he deems to be a get-out-of-jail-free card from the Almighty himself. Is there a more badass way for a hitman to carry out his hits than by quoting scripture at his victim? I don't think so.